An American drought isn't just America's problem. The effects are radiating around the world.
Meanwhile, policymakers worry that bad weather and increasing demand could see a return of a crisis in food supply.
Drought conditions now in 26 states beginning to affect food prices.
Those prices will rise, not just in the United States, but around the world.
The wholesale cost of food jumped by 6% in July.
Finding cheap food in the future may be an even bigger challenge.
Corn prices are up 23%. Now, it's the worst U.S. drought in 50 years.
Corn is the one ingredient that's in almost every food we eat.
Most of the corn affected feeds livestock, so our beef prices could spike.
You've seen commodity prices shoot up just since June.
Cereal prices up 17%.
This is the hottest year on record in the United States, and we're also seeing the most widespread drought in 70 years.
The impact on agriculture is devastating.
Farmers are seeing unusually low yields and exceptionally high prices.
Basics like milk, meat, and eggs will also see their prices rise.
The USDA forecasts that by next year, the drought could cause meat and dairy prices to soar.
We also have sugar prices. They are up 12%. Grains, cereals, wheat. A senior economist with the UN Food and Agricultural Organization says while there's not a food crisis yet, global panic could soon bring one about.
The global food crisis you need to prepare for is now imminent. For the past 6 years, the world has consumed more food than it has produced. As a result, global food reserves are at the lowest level since 1974, when the world had 4 billion people. Today, we have 7 billion. Like a person living paycheck to paycheck, the world is now living year to year when it comes to food supplies. According to the UN, world grain reserves are so dangerously low that severe weather in the U.S. or other food exporting countries could trigger a major hunger crisis next year. The UN also warns that supplies are so tight and reserves are so low that we literally have no room for an unexpected event in 2013. In the U.S., the world's top food producer, we saw the worst drought in 2012 in more than 50 years, which has been absolutely devastating.
And this is the best ear I've got out here right now, and that's about half the normal size. The plants that are next to it produce nothing.
The U.S. corn harvest is expected to be down to 1995 levels. In fact, for the first time in U.S. history, the yield for corn will be down 3 years in a row.
You're going to talk about substantially impacting a number of other marketplaces. And there again, that'll impact with beef exports, pork exports, even potentially poultry exports as we look to other countries.
We are already seeing prices rise significantly this year, with corn rising 31%, soybeans rising 28%, and red meat rising 20%. In the West, higher food prices are a manageable burden for now. Americans spend about 10% of their after-tax incomes on food, including restaurant meals. But in the developing world, some households are spending up to 50% of their income on food, which is usually the basic essentials like bread. An increase in food prices can mean riots, revolutions, and chaos. The last time food prices rose, in 2007 to 2008, we saw food riots in 30 countries. Recently, we have seen populations in Egypt and Tunisia overthrow long-standing governments due to the governments not being able to help with food price inflation. Between the Russian drought in 2010 and Bernanke's currency devaluation, the Arab Spring was a lot more about food prices than anyone has been led to believe.
The revolution started because of the price increase. In the old days, nothing like this happened. Whether it was meat, chicken, or vegetables, food was not this expensive.
The new Prime Minister of Tunisia was elected on a pledge to bring down food prices by government mandate if necessary. Obviously, he doesn't understand how supply and demand works, but we believe he and others will soon learn. PeakResources.org is warning our members of 3 major problems that could easily lead to a food crisis around the world, including the United States. 1. Central banks around the world are creating commodity price inflation. This is a direct result of official currency devaluation campaigns like quantitative easing here in the U.S. Looking at a chart of currency devaluation 1 and currency devaluation 2, we are projecting a significant run in food prices as currency devaluation 3 has been announced. Government debt in the U.S. has now reached exponential growth, with the first $1 trillion added to our national debt taking 204 years and the last $1 trillion taking only 8 months. This too will add to global inflation, as government spending is on an unsustainable course. 2. Rising population. 80 million will be added to the world this year. Even more important than the rise in population is the shift of 75 million people who will go from rural to urban every year for the next 25 years. The rising middle class in Asia and Africa want to eat more, and they want to eat better. 3. A 2013 event, war with Iran, could cause an oil spike, a continued drought, or a market rejection of the U.S. paper printing scheme. The U.S. can never again balance its annual budget. Even if it eliminated the entire federal government, we would still be in deficit from mandatory spending. The problem is actually even worse. Since Social Security checks are tied to CPI, if we actually increased the cost of living to real price inflation, the U.S. would be in a much worse situation. Instead, as John Williams of Shadowstats.com points out, the cost of living for seniors has become the cost of survival rate. Williams says seniors have been undercut nearly 50% since 1980 due to the changes and manipulation of the cost of living methodology. The food crisis is real, and it is happening right now. Since you've been watching this video, 83 people have died of starvation. 75% of those people are children under 5. The developing world is very distant from most living in the West, but recently we have seen the future of the West in Spain and Greece. Preparing your family for the end of cheap resources and the coming food crisis is the most important thing you can do right now. To learn more, or to read our special report titled 10 Things You Absolutely Need to Buy to Prepare for the Coming Food Crisis, please visit peakresources.org.